In this clip, we'll watch as a caller attempts to stand up for Donald Trump, only to be completely shut down by the host who counters with undeniable facts. Let's dive in, and I'll share my impressions with you all.
When we left Europe after the referendum,
Yes.
Europe imposed on the UK a particularly tough, rigid deal that has stunted growth in the UK and, threatened our defences as well. I would rather be allied. Trump's 3.5 years left of his tenancy, and then he's gone.
Well, there's some dispute over that, isn't there? There are suggestions that he might refuse to move. We don't know what will happen, but certainly, my problem with people saying he definitely will call another election and it will be free and fair and everything will be fine is that everybody who said that the fears about Trump were exaggerated at the beginning of his second term have been proved wrong. He's been worse, if anything, than people feared. So we do have to consider that possibility, don't we?
Well, is he worse? I mean, I think we could learn a few lessons here from Trump. Not everything he's doing, obviously, is correct, but he is putting his country first, and he's doing the things. Why should he be propping up NATO with funds disproportionate to the other contributors?
Well, hang on, but we're talking about the silencing of journalists. We're talking about threatening of academic institutions, the closing down of the Department for Education, thousands of people losing their jobs through these swinging cuts, thousands of people losing millions of people losing their social security. How is that good for America?
Why should the government and taxpayers be paying for people who aren't doing a job? Why should the department? We're closing down the NHS thing here because there's a doubling of duties and we're wasting money.
Well, we're not closing down the Department of Education, though, are we? We want people to be educated to a high standard, and also welfare payments, so-called welfare payments, are shown to pay dividends in terms of the whole of society. Cutting them saves money in the short term and means that there are more expenses to the exchequer in the long term.
Possibly, but what we're doing here is trying to cut out people who are robbing the taxpayer in welfare payments, and Trump is doing the same thing. He's just not prepared to pay people who are freeloaders. I
don't think that you understand the extent to which Trump is eroding the very fabric of democracy and becoming an authoritarian.
I'm not as clever as you.
It's not a question of cleverness. It's just a question of looking at what he is doing and saying this is an authoritarian figure. This completely changes the world order. America was supposed to be the leader of the free world, and we were supposed to be allied with them, and Europe was supposed to be allied with them, and that has been the case since the end of World War II. The US administration's behavior has fundamentally messed with the dynamic of that, and we need to do something in response. So what should we do? We ally ourselves with the wannabe dictator?
All right, folks, as usual, if listening to me isn't your thing, feel free to skip ahead to the next clip. In this part, the host decisively dismantles the caller's defense of Donald Trump with a compelling set of factual points, bringing to light the perils of his leadership. The caller's attempt to minimize Trump's authoritarian streak is briskly countered with a deep dive into how his actions affect democracy and global relations. The host's focus on Trump's undermining of democratic principles is of utmost importance. By highlighting the suppression of journalists and threats to educational bodies, they stress the grave risks of unchecked authoritarian actions. These arguments not only dispute the caller's views, but also serve to remind the listeners of the wider consequences of Trump's policies. When it comes to welfare and government expenditure, the host draws a critical line. While cutting social programs might appear fiscally wise in the immediate sense, it often leads to higher long-term societal costs. This outlook challenges the caller's stance and stresses the importance of a compassionate governance approach that acknowledges the link between social welfare and the health of society as a whole. The NATO funding and alliances discussion further showcases the intricacies of international relations. The host's point that Trump's conduct is eroding America's traditional role as a global leader is especially moving, emphasizing the need to uphold strong alliances, particularly in a world shaped by post-World War II changes. In the end, this dialogue is a vital reminder of the necessity of holding leaders to account for their decisions. The host's insights reinforce the idea that adopting authoritarianism, even under nationalistic pretenses, poses a serious danger to both American democracy and global peace. Engaging in these discussions with dedication to truth and ethical leadership is essential as we tread through these intricate political terrains. Let's delve deeper into these themes.
I think I would rather hitch my wagon to America in the long term on the basis that Trump isn't going to be there after 3.5 years than with Europe, who we've been at war with effectively for 500 years in one form or another, and who put us to the sword when we left, even as recently as 2016. They've been
I take issue with your framing of that. They were very clear that there was only one type of Brexit deal that was feasible and that would be disadvantageous to the UK. You can't just allow people to leave a union and to have more benefits or equal benefits than they had before they left it. That defeats the purpose of a union. They were very clear on that from day one. It's our politicians that lied to us and said that it wouldn't affect us in the way that it has.
Okay, I accept that. I accept that. Nonetheless, Germany, France, Spain, over 300-400 years, those alliances have shifted tremendously in all different directions. And as I say, I would feel more secure in England with America as my security blanket than Europe as my security blanket.
And what about even if we were able to obtain some favour from Donald Trump, what about the fact that he famously turns on a sixpence, listens most to the last person who was in his ear, changes his mind at the last minute? What about the instability that brings about?
I don't know, but I sense that on some of the this would be a massive issue to America. I don't believe that they would want to be bad friends, call it, with the United Kingdom, given the tie-up in security information, having a solid partner on the European front. I think it's a special relationship, and Trump, I think he loved it when Keir Starmer pulled out a letter from the King, didn't he?
But then went on to slap tariffs on our steel, so obviously didn't mean that much to him, did it?
Well, we're putting VAT on all of his products. We're putting tariffs on his products. So, again,
in retaliation. Things are changing so quickly. I hear what you're saying, Spencer, and thank you for your call, and thank you for making your debut to LBC.
To LBC, there is so much to delve into here, and I made this video for my viewers who aren't in the US. I want you all to see that just like there are plenty of right-wing supporters over there who blindly follow and gobble up everything Donald Trump says, we have people here in the UK doing the exact same thing. You just heard that man repeatedly attempt to make arguments, constantly getting things wrong but still pushing them nonetheless. And the host, bless her heart, did an excellent job of deflecting all of his erroneous points. Every time he tried to argue, it was almost laughable because he'd end up admitting things like, well, you'll know more than me, or agreeing with, that is correct. These are exactly the sort of people we're dealing with here in the UK, as well as in the US. They take everything Trump says at face value, treating it as indisputable truth, even though we know that most of what he says is far from the truth and often misleading. Watching the host handle such nonsense with facts and reality was refreshing. We truly need more of this type of critical discourse, because there are many spreading falsehoods and hostility simply from a place of ignorance. This video was fantastic, and I just wanted to highlight that, trust me, we have our share of Trump devotees here in the UK who regurgitate senseless rhetoric without understanding what they're talking about. Share your thoughts in the comments below about this video. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing for outsider perspectives on American politics. Also, hit the like button to help with the YouTube algorithm. As always, I'll see you in the next one.